Joining us with those details. Alright viewers, let's now give you the latest as far as the Israel-Iran war is concerned. Now Asian stock markets fell for a third day in a row on Wednesday and oil prices moved higher as investors watched developments in the US-Israel-Iran war. Share indices in South Korea and Thailand temporarily halted trading after plunging by more than 8% and triggering so-called circuit breakers, which aim to avoid panic selling. Brent crude oil was about 2.8% higher in Asia afternoon trade after surging over the last 2 days. The conflict in the Middle East has rattled financial markets and global energy prices have soared this week after vessels near the crucial Strait of Hormuz shipping lane have come under attack. Let's in fact go across to Akash Jindal, senior economist with us in this conversation. Mr. Jindal, thanks very much for joining us. We extend you very happy holy greetings. But talk to us about the market situation as of now. We have some details about oil prices, of course, soaring. How do you think the war around the Gulf and the blockage of the Strait of Hormuz is going to affect global trade and consequently oil prices in the stock market?
A very happy Holi to you and to our dear viewers. I think the impact is going to be quite serious. It's going to be much more serious than what is currently being reflected in the stock markets worldwide. Because see, the damage is going to be very, very high. As of now, the immediate damage which we are able to make out is that crude oil prices are high. Brent crude has already crossed $83 per barrel. And for India, dollar has also become costly. So the immediate damage for India is that we have to see our reserves for crude oil because number one, the crude oil prices would be higher, which would mean consequently petrol and diesel prices would be higher because my organization Akash in the Dotting Fields, since petrol and diesel both are market linked, so the prices have to go up. Secondly, there are two things when we talk about petrol and diesel retail prices. One is the crude oil prices globally. Second is we have to pay majorly in dollars because most quantities are imported from that region where we have to pay in dollars. So those things have an impact. So I think petrol, diesel prices would increase, which would mean inflation would be higher. Now inflation, it of course impacts the common man directly, plus macroeconomic view also. What happens is inflation is something which directly eats into GDP growth. Inflation is something which increases the deficit. Inflation is something which decreases the growth. Then there's a concern for current account deficit, our forex reserves, because the outflow of dollars has to be much higher. Plus, dollar also would be costlier. This is number one problem. Second problem is erratic supply of crude oil. Now the crude oil supply could be irregular. That's going to be another problem. One is higher prices. Second is irregular supply. Yeah. People are talking on various global channels that we have other sources, but other sources it's not that easy. Of course, there are other routes also. If we talk, there's a route which comes to China and the southern Indian Sea, Indian Ocean, where we can have crude. But that again is a costly route. So I think number one is this problem. Secondly, is the damage caused to global economy. Global economy was already going through a slowdown. The feeling of my organization, Akash.in, is now the slowdown would definitely, for sure, get into recession. So global economy going into recession means that the possibility of getting higher FDI, which we were envisaging, would be lesser. Foreign portfolio investors also wouldn't be coming in that huge numbers. Plus, the sort of acts we are seeing from US, that also are a cause of concern. Initially, it was Venezuela. The world didn't take much cognizance. There were statements, but no action was there. Now it's Iran. So people are speculating. I've been talking to my co-panelists in Europe, US. What next? What could be Mr. Trump's further move? Yeah. So that is disturbing global economy because economy only prospers when there's peace, when there's cordial relations. Secondly, supply chain getting blocked. Now it's not only oil. The cascading impact is impacting all other industries. metal, tourism, aviation, because the economy ultimately, all industries are connected to each other, and all economies ultimately, because the world is integrated, so all economies are connected. And if you see this war, the pace and intensity of this war is much, much higher than any other wars which we have seen. We have seen, of course, wars of bigger magnitude. I mean, we have in history, we have seen World War One and Two. Of course, there are certain people who are naming it World War Three. But the pace and intensity with this war is being fought is much, much faster than any of the wars fought. So I think this would not only disturb that region, but global economy would be damaged, and it would not take days or weeks, it would take months to repair. As far as crude oil is concerned, I think crude oil, there's a clear-cut possibility. The expectation of my organization, Akash and the is crude oil is going to cross $110 per barrel. Plus, dollar also is going to cross 95 rupees, the way things are going. The way we are seeing actions from US, Israel, and the way Iran is retaliating, I think things are going to be further heated up for global economy, for India also. Now what happens is, for the common Indian man, for agriculturists, when diesel prices increase, diesel is the most vital input for any agriculturist in India. So his viability, his profitability would decrease. Secondly, inflation. See, now daily consumable like milk and vegetables, there would be no Indian household which can survive without chai and sabji. So milk and vegetables have to come to every Indian household. That would become costly. To give you a simple example, the tea cup which we get on the footpath, on the pavement today, it's 10 rupees in Delhi. That would become 13 rupees, because that person who is selling that tea, for him milk would be costlier, plus the fuel on which he'll be preparing that tea, that would be costlier. So this is how it's going to impact the common man, the macro economy, and the market. So things are not at all good, rather in a very bad shape, much bad shape than we can envisage, much bad shape than what is being reflected in the crude oil prices or global equity markets. Things are much worse than that, because the impact is not going to be only for 3 days, 4 days. The war may last for another 3 days, 4 days, but the impact on global economy is going to be felt for 3 to 4 months. That's what I sincerely and seriously feel.
All right. Mr. Jindal, thanks very much for explaining that to our viewers. And we'd let you go with that. In fact, viewers, some more details are now coming in. The Israel Defense Force